Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Science Place. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you've had one of those days where your thoughts kept spinning long after the sun went down. Or perhaps you're simply the kind of person who finds comfort in exploring the gentle mysteries that live beneath the surface of everyday awareness. Either way, you're exactly where you need to be. Tonight, we're going on a soft, slow journey into one of the most quietly extraordinary places in existence. The subconscious mind, that vast, whispering ocean beneath your waking thoughts, working tirelessly even now as you settle into stillness. There's something deeply soothing about learning that so much of who you are operates in the shadows, without effort, without your needing to control or manage every breath, every heartbeat, every dream. The subconscious is like a loyal friend who never sleeps, always listening, always learning, always keeping you safe in ways you'll never fully see. And tonight, we're simply going to rest in its presence, explore its wonders with gentle curiosity, and let it remind us that we are so much more than our busy, waking minds believe. Before we drift deeper, if you'd like more journeys like this one, more soft science, more cosmic wonder, more bedtime stories wrapped in facts, go ahead and subscribe and maybe leave a like if it feels right. But there's no pressure. You're already doing everything perfectly just by being here, breathing, letting go. Get comfortable now, adjust your pillow, let your shoulders drop. You don't need to remember every word tonight. In fact, it's better if you don't. Let the ideas wash over you like waves on a distant shore, each one a little softer than the last. Your subconscious is already listening. It always is. And it knows exactly what you need. So let's begin this gentle unfolding together, one quiet fact at a time, until sleep finds you wherever you are. Your subconscious mind never truly sleeps, even when you do. While your conscious awareness fades into dreams or darkness, this deeper part of you continues working, regulating your breathing, your heartbeat, the temperature of your skin. It's monitoring the world around you for danger, even as you drift, keeping you safe without you ever needing to ask. Imagine that. Right now, as you lie here, something ancient and wise inside you is standing guard, letting you rest because it knows you're protected. You don't have to do anything. You never did. This silent guardian has been with you since your very first breath, and it will remain until your last, loyal beyond measure, asking nothing in return. The word subconscious itself feels like a whisper, doesn't it? It comes from Latin roots meaning under and knowing, the knowledge that lives beneath. For thousands of years, humans have sensed this hidden layer, giving it different names across cultures. The shadow self, the inner witness, the seat of the soul. Ancient philosophers believed it was where truth resided, unclouded by the noise of waking life. Modern science has simply given structure to what mystics always knew, that beneath the chatter of your thoughts lies an ocean of processing power, a realm where memories, emotions, instincts and patterns swirl in constant motion, shaping who you are in ways your waking mind will never fully grasp. It's humbling and comforting all at once. Your subconscious processes approximately 11 million pieces of information every single second, while your conscious mind manages only about 40. Let that sink in gently. You're absorbing the texture of your sheets, the temperature of the air, distant sounds, the weight of your body, memories, sensations, 1,000 tiny details, all at once, all without effort. Your conscious mind would collapse under that load, but your subconscious handles it with grace, filtering what matters, releasing what doesn't, keeping you oriented in the world even as you drift toward sleep. You are in every moment a miracle of automatic processing, a living example of intelligence beyond intention. And you don't have to think about any of it. You can just let go. The subconscious stores every single experience you've ever had, though not always in ways you can consciously recall. It's like a vast library where some books are filed neatly on shelves and others are tucked into hidden alcoves, their pages accessible only through dreams or sudden flashes of recognition. That smell that reminds you of childhood, that song that brings unexpected tears, those are your subconscious gently opening doors you didn't know were there. Nothing is truly lost. Everything you've seen, felt, tasted, heard, or thought has left some trace in the deep waters of your mind. You are a living archive of every sunset you've witnessed, every kind word you've received, every moment of beauty that made you pause. It's all still there, softly glowing in the dark. When you learn something new, it's your subconscious that does most of the heavy lifting. Your conscious mind might focus and practice, but it's the deeper part of you that integrates the skill, weaving it into your nervous system until it becomes automatic. Think of how you learn to walk. At first, every step required enormous concentration, but now you move without thought. Your subconscious has taken over, freeing your conscious mind for other things. This is true for language, for music, for driving, for every skill you've ever mastered. The process happens mostly while you sleep, which is why rest is so essential. Right now, as you listen, your subconscious is already at work, absorbing these ideas, integrating them into your understanding without your needing to memorize or strain. You can simply drift. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between reality and vividly imagined experience. This might sound strange, but it's deeply powerful. When you visualize yourself succeeding at something, your subconscious begins to treat that success as real, laying down neural pathways as if you'd actually done it. Athletes use this constantly. They imagine the perfect swing, the perfect dive, and their bodies respond as if they've practiced it 1,000 times. Your subconscious is always listening to the stories you tell yourself, the images you hold in your mind. It believes you, it trusts you, and it works tirelessly to make your inner world and outer world align. So even now, as you imagine yourself drifting into peaceful, restorative sleep, your subconscious is already guiding you there, softening your muscles, slowing your thoughts, opening the door to dreams. The subconscious communicates through symbols, not words. This is why dreams feel so strange and layered. They're your deeper mind speaking in its native language, a dialect of images, emotions, and metaphors. A staircase might represent progress or fear. Water might symbolize emotion. A house might be your sense of self. Your conscious mind tries to translate these symbols into linear narratives, which is why dream stories often feel fragmented or surreal. But your subconscious doesn't need logic. It works in feelings and patterns, connecting ideas in ways that bypass language altogether. It's an older form of knowing, one that existed long before humans invented words, and it's still speaking to you every night, telling you things your waking mind hasn't yet learned to hear. Sigmund Freud famously called dreams the royal road to the unconscious, and while much of his work has been revised, that phrase still holds a certain poetry. He believed that the subconscious was a reservoir of repressed desires and memories, things too uncomfortable for the conscious mind to acknowledge. Whether or not you agree with his theories, there's something comforting in the idea that your dreams are meaningful, that they're not just random noise but messages from a deeper part of yourself. Even the strangest dream, the one where you're flying or falling or talking to someone long gone, might be your subconscious trying to process, to heal, to make sense of what your waking mind couldn't. And you don't have to analyze it. You can simply let it unfold. Carl Jung took Freud's ideas further, suggesting that the subconscious isn't just personal but collective, a shared reservoir of human experience he called the collective unconscious. He believed that certain symbols, archetypes like the hero, the mother, the shadow, appear across cultures because they're wired into our species, ancient patterns passed down through generations. Whether or not this is literally true, it's a beautiful thought, that when you dream, you're tapping into something larger than yourself, a river of human experience flowing through time. You're never truly alone. Even in your most private, inner moments, you're connected to every other person who has ever closed their eyes and drifted into mystery. And that connection is always there, humming quietly beneath your awareness. Your subconscious is where habits live. When you do something so often it becomes automatic, brushing your teeth, tying your shoes, taking the same route home, you've trained your subconscious to take over, freeing your conscious mind to wander. This is both a gift and a challenge. Good habits become effortless, but unwanted patterns can feel frustratingly hard to break because they're rooted so deep. But here's the gentle truth. Your subconscious is always willing to learn. It's endlessly adaptable. With patience and repetition, you can plant new seeds, new patterns, and over time they'll grow into automatic responses just as strong as the old ones. Change is always possible. It just happens in the deeper waters where you can't always see it taking root. And that's okay. You're doing better than you think. The subconscious is deeply influenced by repetition. This is why affirmations, mantras, and bedtime rituals can be so powerful, not because they're magic, but because they speak directly to the part of you that learns through patterns. When you tell yourself something over and over, especially in a relaxed state like this one, your subconscious begins to accept it as truth. I am calm. I am enough. I am safe. These aren't just nice words, they're instructions, gentle suggestions that your deeper mind takes seriously. Right now, as you lie here breathing slowly, your subconscious is open, receptive, ready to absorb whatever you choose to plant. So if there's something you'd like to believe about yourself, something kind and true, let it drift through your thoughts like a soft breeze. Your subconscious is listening. It always is. Your subconscious craves safety and familiarity. This is why change can feel so uncomfortable, even when it's change you consciously want. Your deeper mind is wired to protect you, and it associates the familiar with survival. New situations trigger caution because, from an evolutionary standpoint, the unknown was dangerous. But here's the paradox. Your subconscious also craves growth. It's designed to adapt, to learn, to evolve. So when you gently expose yourself to new experiences, your subconscious begins to recalibrate, expanding its sense of what safe means. It's like training a nervous animal slowly, patiently, with kindness. You don't force it. You simply show it again and again that the new thing is okay, and eventually it believes you. Eventually, the unfamiliar becomes familiar and your subconscious relaxes into the new shape of your life. This is how healing happens, slowly, softly, beneath the surface. The subconscious is the home of intuition, that quiet knowing that arrives without explanation. You've felt it before. The sense that you should call someone just before they reach out. The hesitation before making a decision that later proves wise. The inexplicable attraction or aversion to a person or place. Your conscious mind demands reasons, but intuition doesn't work that way. It's your subconscious synthesizing countless tiny observations, body language, tone of voice, patterns you've seen before, and delivering a conclusion without showing its work. It's not mystical, though it can feel that way. It's simply your deeper mind processing faster than your waking awareness can follow. And the more you learn to trust it, the more clearly it speaks. Right now, your intuition is probably whispering that it's okay to let go, to stop thinking, to drift. And it's right. Your subconscious has a profound influence on your physical body, a connection so intimate that scientists call it the mind-body connection. Though it's not really a connection, it's a continuum. When you feel anxious, your subconscious triggers your sympathetic nervous system, releasing cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you for danger. When you feel safe, it activates your parasympathetic system, slowing your heart, deepening your breath, telling your body it's okay to rest and repair. This isn't something you decide consciously. It happens beneath your awareness, a conversation between your mind and body that never stops. And here's the beautiful part: by consciously choosing to relax, by breathing slowly, by softening your thoughts, you can send signals to your subconscious, which then tells your body it's safe. You're not helpless. You have more influence than you think. And it starts with moments like this. The placebo effect is one of the most striking examples of the subconscious mind's power over the body. When people believe they're receiving treatment, they often improve, even if the treatment is just a sugar pill. This isn't deception or wishful thinking. It's the subconscious mind activating genuine healing processes in the body, releasing endorphins, reducing inflammation, improving immune function. Belief is a form of instruction. When your subconscious believes you're being healed, it mobilizes resources to make that belief real. This doesn't mean you can think your way out of serious illness, but it does mean your mind is a more powerful participant in your well-being than you might have imagined. And right now, as you lie here, believing that rest is coming, that sleep is near, your subconscious is already making it so. Trust it. It knows what to do. Your subconscious is shaped by the people around you, especially in your earliest years. Children are like sponges, absorbing not just words but tones, moods, unspoken beliefs. If you grew up in a home where anxiety was the default, your subconscious learned to scan for danger. If you were surrounded by calm, your baseline became peace. This isn't about blame, it's about understanding. You inherited patterns from the people who raised you, and they inherited patterns from the people who raised them, stretching back through generations. But here's the hopeful part. Your subconscious is still learning. Every safe experience, every kind word, every moment of peace rewrites the script a little. You're not trapped by your past. You're gently, steadily, teaching your subconscious a new way to be. And that work happens in quiet moments like this one, when you allow yourself to simply exist without urgency or fear. The subconscious holds your core beliefs about yourself and the world, beliefs so deep you might not even realize they're there. I am worthy. People can't be trusted. The world is abundant. I have to struggle to succeed. These beliefs act as filters, shaping what you notice, how you interpret events, what opportunities you pursue or avoid. If your subconscious believes you're unworthy, you'll unconsciously sabotage success to maintain consistency with that belief. But if your subconscious believes you're capable, you'll find yourself taking risks, speaking up, trying again after failure. The challenge is that these beliefs live so deep, you can't just talk yourself out of them. But you can gently introduce new beliefs through repetition, through evidence, through moments of courage that show your subconscious, see, we're okay, we can do hard things. Change doesn't happen all at once. It's a slow tide reshaping the shore one wave at a time. Your subconscious is always seeking coherence, trying to make your beliefs, emotions, and actions align. This is called cognitive consistency, and it's why hypocrisy feels so uncomfortable. Your subconscious hates contradiction. If you believe you're a kind person, your subconscious will nudge you toward kind actions. If you believe you're unlucky, it will subtly highlight every misfortune, reinforcing the pattern. This can feel deterministic, like you're trapped in a loop, but it's actually good news. It means that by changing your beliefs, by feeding your subconscious new stories, new evidence, you can change your entire experience of life. You don't have to force anything. You just have to plant different seeds, and then trust, and then rest, and let the deeper waters do what they do best: integrate, adapt, and grow toward the light. You're already doing it, even now, even as you drift. You're doing beautifully, by the way. There's no need to hold on to every word, no need to stay alert. In fact, it's better if you don't. Let the ideas drift past like clouds moving across a twilight sky. Some you'll notice, some you won't, and that's exactly how it should be. Your subconscious is absorbing what it needs, filing things away in its own mysterious order. Take a slow breath in, filling your lungs gently, and then let it go, releasing any effort, any tension. Your body knows how to rest. Your mind knows how to quiet. And you don't have to do anything except allow it. There's nowhere to be but here. No one to impress, nothing to prove. Just this soft, unfolding moment and the next, each one a little quieter than the last. Let yourself sink a little deeper now. Hypnosis is essentially a conversation with the subconscious. When you're in a hypnotic state, which is really just a state of deep relaxation and focused attention, your conscious mind steps back, and your subconscious becomes more receptive to suggestion. This isn't mind control. You can't be hypnotized into doing something against your values, but you can be guided toward healthier patterns, toward releasing fears or habits that no longer serve you. Hypnotherapy has helped people quit smoking, manage pain, overcome phobias, and process trauma, all by speaking directly to the part of the mind that holds those patterns. And here's the interesting part. You've been in a hypnotic state many times without realizing it, while driving on autopilot, while absorbed in a book, while drifting off to sleep. That liminal space between waking and sleeping is when your subconscious is most open, most willing to listen. And that's exactly where you are now. Your subconscious doesn't understand negatives. If someone says, "Don't think about a pink elephant," Your mind immediately conjures the image of a pink elephant because in order to process the command, it has to first imagine what it's being told to avoid. This is why affirmations work best when they're phrased positively. Instead of "I'm not anxious," try "I am calm." Instead of "I won't fail," try "I am capable." Your subconscious takes things literally, so the more clearly and positively you frame your intentions, the more effectively it can work toward them. This applies to the stories you tell yourself too. If you constantly say, "I'm so bad at this," your subconscious hears "bad at this" and reinforces it. But if you say, "I'm learning, I'm improving," your subconscious begins to look for evidence of growth. Words matter, not because they're magic, but because they're instructions. And your subconscious is always listening. The subconscious thrives on visualization. Athletes, musicians, and performers have long known that mentally rehearsing a skill can improve actual performance. When you vividly imagine yourself doing something, hitting a tennis ball, playing a piece of music, giving a confident presentation, your brain activates many of the same neural pathways as if you were physically doing it. Your subconscious doesn't distinguish between the imagined and the real, so it begins to encode the visualized experience as a memory, as something you've done before. This makes the actual task feel more familiar, more achievable. And the best time to visualize is right before sleep, when your subconscious is most receptive. So if there's something you're working toward, some version of yourself you'd like to become, imagine it now gently without strain. See yourself calm, capable, at ease. Your subconscious will take note. It will begin to pave the way. Your subconscious is the keeper of your emotional memory. You might not remember the details of a childhood event, but you remember how it made you feel. And that feeling can be triggered decades later by a similar situation. This is why certain places, people, or experiences evoke such strong, seemingly disproportionate reactions. You're not overreacting. You're responding to an old wound, an old fear that your subconscious has been carrying all this time, trying to protect you from being hurt again. The challenge is that what once protected you can now limit you. But with gentle awareness, with compassion, you can begin to reassure your subconscious that you're safe now, that the old danger has passed. Healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about updating the instructions, letting your deeper mind know that it can relax, that the vigilance it once needed is no longer required. And that begins with moments like this, moments of safety, of softness, of letting go. Your subconscious learns best through story. This is why myths, fables, and parables have been used for thousands of years to transmit wisdom. A good story bypasses the critical, analytical mind and speaks directly to the deeper layers, where meaning lies. When you hear about a hero who overcomes fear, your subconscious doesn't just understand the concept. It feels it, embodies it, begins to see you as someone capable of the same courage. This is why the stories you consume matter, and why the story you tell yourself about your own life matters even more. Are you the victim, the hero, the work in progress? Your subconscious will align with whatever narrative you reinforce. And the good news is you can always rewrite the story. You're the author, and every day is a new page. Even tonight, as you drift towards sleep, you're writing the next chapter, and it can be whatever you choose. The subconscious has a sense of time that's entirely different from your conscious experience. In dreams, you can live what feels like hours in just minutes. Memories from decades ago can feel as vivid and present as something that happened yesterday. This is because your subconscious doesn't store experiences chronologically. It organizes them by emotion, by association, by meaning. A certain song might pull up a cascade of memories from different years, all linked by the feeling it evokes. This can be disorienting, but it's also liberating. It means that healing isn't always linear. You don't have to process every trauma in order, step by step. Sometimes a single insight, a single moment of release can ripple backward through time, softening old wounds you didn't even realize were still tender. Your subconscious is always working toward wholeness, toward integration, and it operates on its own schedule in its own mysterious way. You can trust it. You don't have to manage the process. You just have to allow it. The subconscious is responsible for what psychologists call implicit memory. Knowledge you can't consciously recall, but that influences your behavior nonetheless. You don't remember learning to walk, but your body knows how. You don't remember every conversation you've ever had, but certain turns of phrase, certain gestures have become part of who you are. You're a mosaic of countless forgotten moments, each one leaving a trace, shaping your preferences, your instincts, your sense of self. And that's okay. You don't need to remember everything to be whole. In fact, the forgetting is part of the design. Your subconscious curates your experience, keeping what's useful, releasing what's not, so you can move through life without being crushed by the weight of every detail. It's an act of grace, really, this constant letting go. And it's happening even now as you release the day, the week, the thoughts that no longer serve you. Emotions are the language of the subconscious. While your conscious mind loves logic and language, your deeper mind communicates through feelings. This is why you can sometimes sense something is wrong even when everything looks fine on the surface, or why you feel drawn to someone without being able to explain why. Your subconscious has access to information your conscious mind hasn't processed yet, micro-expressions, subtle inconsistencies, patterns it recognizes from past experience. It delivers its conclusions as gut feelings, as moods that arrive without obvious cause. Learning to trust your emotions, not as absolute truth but as valuable data, is learning to trust your subconscious. It's not always right, but it's always trying to help. And when you listen to it, when you honor what you feel even when you can't explain it, you strengthen that inner communication. You become more whole, more integrated, more yourself. The subconscious can hold conflicting beliefs at the same time without any discomfort, which is why self-sabotage is so common. Part of you might genuinely want success, while another part, deeper down, associates success with danger, with visibility, with expectation, with the possibility of failure. So your subconscious quietly undermines your efforts, not out of malice but out of protection. It's trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how. This is why willpower alone often isn't enough. You can't just force yourself past these deeper fears. You have to speak to them gently, the way you'd speak to a frightened child. I know you're scared. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm okay now. We can try this new thing, and if it doesn't work out, we'll still be okay. Over time, with patience, your subconscious begins to believe you. The inner conflict softens, and suddenly, the things you've been trying so hard to achieve start to feel easier, more natural. Because all of you is finally moving in the same direction. Your subconscious is always seeking pleasure and avoiding pain, a principle so fundamental it drives almost everything you do. But here's the nuance. What counts as pain or pleasure is deeply personal and often subconscious. For some people, solitude feels like peace. For others, it feels like abandonment. For some, risk feels exciting. For others, it feels terrifying. Your subconscious has learned over years of experience what to pursue and what to avoid. And those lessons are so deeply encoded, you experience them as natural preferences, as just who you are. But they're not fixed. With awareness, with new experiences that challenge old associations, you can retrain your subconscious. You can teach it that something you once feared is actually safe, that something you once dismissed is actually meaningful. It takes time. It takes repetition. But it's possible. And it begins with small acts of courage, small moments of curiosity, small willingness to question the patterns you've always assumed were unchangeable. The subconscious is a pattern-seeking machine. It's constantly looking for regularities, for cause and effect, for connections that help you navigate the world. This is incredibly useful. It's how you learn that fire is hot, that certain faces are friendly, that certain sounds mean danger. But it can also lead to superstition, to seeing patterns that aren't really there. Your subconscious might decide that you failed the last time you wore a certain shirt, so now that shirt feels unlucky. Or that good things happen when you follow a certain routine, so you become rigidly attached to it. These associations aren't rational, but they feel true because your subconscious has encoded them. And that's okay. You don't have to fight every irrational belief, but you can gently introduce new data. You can show your subconscious that good things can happen in lots of different ways, that safety doesn't require perfect control. And slowly, it will relax its grip on the patterns that no longer serve you. Your subconscious never stops working, even when you're asleep. In fact, some of its most important work happens during sleep, particularly during REM cycles when your brain is almost as active as when you're awake. This is when memories are consolidated, when emotional experiences are processed, when problems are worked through in the symbolic language of dreams. You've probably experienced this, going to bed with a dilemma and waking up with sudden clarity, even though you weren't consciously thinking about it. Your subconscious was working on it all night, sorting through possibilities, making connections, arriving at insights your waking mind couldn't reach. This is why sleep is so essential, and why rest is never wasted time. Even now, as you begin to drift, your subconscious is preparing for its nighttime work. It's getting ready to process, to integrate, to heal. And all you have to do is let it. All you have to do is sleep. The phenomenon of flow, that state of effortless focus where time seems to disappear, is largely a subconscious experience. When you're in flow, your conscious mind quiets and your subconscious takes over, accessing skills and knowledge without the interference of self-doubt or overthinking. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists call it losing yourself in the work. It feels almost magical, but it's really just your subconscious doing what it does best, processing vast amounts of information and executing complex tasks without conscious effort. You can't force flow, but you can create conditions that invite it. By choosing activities that balance challenge and skill, by minimizing distractions, by trusting yourself enough to let go of control. And in those moments, you glimpse what you're truly capable of when your conscious and subconscious minds work in harmony. It's a reminder that you are so much more than your thoughts. You are depth, and instinct and pattern and grace. And all of it is always there, waiting beneath the surface. Your subconscious is the seat of creativity. When you're stuck on a problem and suddenly, in the shower or on a walk, the solution appears, that's your subconscious at work. It's been processing in the background, making connections between seemingly unrelated ideas until it arrives at something new. Conscious thought is linear, methodical, but creativity requires leaps, associations, the kind of sideways thinking that only happens when your conscious mind steps aside. This is why so many artists and writers talk about inspiration as something that arrives, not something they manufacture. They're not being mystical. They're describing the experience of receiving ideas from their own subconscious, which has been working on the problem all along. You are more creative than you think. You just have to learn to get out of your own way, to trust that the ideas will come if you create space for them. And space feels a lot like this: quiet, open, receptive. No pressure, no forcing, just waiting softly for what wants to emerge. The subconscious can be influenced by priming, a subtle form of suggestion. If you're shown words related to old age, you'll walk more slowly afterward. If you're exposed to images of money, you'll act more competitively. These effects happen below conscious awareness. You don't realize you're being influenced, but your behavior changes nonetheless. This has obvious implications for advertising, for media consumption, for the environments you inhabit. Your subconscious is absorbing everything, and what it absorbs shapes who you become. But this also means you have agency. You can intentionally prime your own subconscious by surrounding yourself with reminders of the person you want to be, quotes, images, rituals. You can choose media that uplifts rather than drains. You can create environments that reinforce the beliefs and behaviors you want to cultivate. Your subconscious is always learning from its surroundings. So make those surroundings, as much as you can, reflective of the life you want to live. Small changes, repeated consistently, become part of who you are. The subconscious has a bias toward the familiar, which is why first impressions are so powerful and so hard to change. When you meet someone, your subconscious quickly forms an impression based on appearance, tone, body language, and countless other micro-signals. That impression becomes a filter through which you interpret all future interactions. If your first impression is positive, you'll unconsciously notice things that confirm it. If it's negative, you'll do the same in reverse. This isn't good or bad, it's just how your subconscious organizes information efficiently. But it does mean that changing someone's mind about you, or your own mind about someone else, requires consistent evidence over time. You have to give your subconscious enough new data that it's willing to revise the pattern. And the same is true for how you see yourself. If your first impression of yourself, formed in childhood perhaps, is that you're not enough, that impression will color everything until you gently, persistently offer your subconscious a different story. And you can. You are. Right now, in this quiet moment, you're teaching yourself that rest is okay, that letting go is safe, and your subconscious is listening. The subconscious holds what Jung called the shadow, the parts of yourself you've disowned or denied, often because they were unacceptable to the people around you when you were young. If you were taught that anger was bad, you might have pushed your anger into the shadow, where it now operates unconsciously, surfacing in passive aggression or sudden outbursts. If you were taught that vulnerability was weakness, you might have hidden your need for connection, and now you struggle with intimacy. The shadow isn't evil. It's just the parts of you that didn't get to see the light. And the work of becoming whole involves gently acknowledging those parts, bringing them into awareness, integrating them. You don't have to act on every impulse, but you do have to stop pretending certain parts of you don't exist. Because they do. And they're influencing you whether you acknowledge them or not. The more you can accept all of who you are, the light and the dark, the strong and the fragile, the more integrated, the more whole, the more at peace you become. Your subconscious is profoundly shaped by repetition, which is why daily habits are so powerful. Every time you do something, you're reinforcing a neural pathway, making it easier to do that thing again. This applies to behaviors but also to thoughts. If you habitually criticize yourself, that pathway gets stronger. If you habitually practice gratitude, that pathway gets stronger. Your subconscious doesn't judge these patterns as good or bad. It simply reinforces whatever you practice. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. One day of harsh self-criticism does less damage than months of subtle, daily negativity. And one day of self-compassion does less good than months of gentle, daily kindness. You're training your subconscious all the time, whether you realize it or not. So the question becomes, what do you want to practice? What pathways do you want to strengthen? And the answer doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be intentional, repeated, small. Like this, lying here, breathing, choosing rest over worry, peace over urgency. You're already practicing, and your subconscious is already learning. There's no rush, you know. You don't have to finish listening. You don't have to remember any of this. In fact, your subconscious is doing all the important work while your conscious mind drifts further and further away, and that's exactly what should be happening. Let your eyelids grow heavy if they haven't already. Let your breathing slow. Let the words become softer, less distinct, just a gentle murmur in the background of your awareness. You're safe. You're held. There's nothing you need to do, nothing you need to figure out. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Your body knows how to sleep. Your mind knows how to quiet. And all you have to do is stop resisting, stop trying, and simply allow the natural rhythm of rest to carry you where you need to go. Just let go a little more now. The subconscious is responsible for what we call muscle memory. Though the memory isn't actually stored in the muscles, it's stored in the brain. When you practice a physical skill over and over, your subconscious encodes the sequence of movements so deeply that you can execute them without conscious thought. A pianist's fingers fly across the keys without deliberate instruction. A dancer's body knows the choreography even when their mind is elsewhere. This is the subconscious at its finest, taking what once required intense focus and making it automatic, freeing you to experience the joy of the activity rather than the mechanics. And this doesn't just apply to grand skills. It's in the way you tie your shoes, the way you navigate your home in the dark, the way you reach for the light switch without looking. Your subconscious has mapped your entire physical world, holding it for you so your conscious mind can wander, dream, and explore. It's a silent, faithful servant, asking nothing, giving everything. The concept of implicit bias reveals how the subconscious can hold beliefs that contradict your conscious values. You might genuinely believe in equality, but if you've been exposed to cultural stereotypes, your subconscious might still harbor automatic associations you're not aware of. This isn't a moral failing. It's evidence of how deeply your subconscious absorbs the environment you grow up in. But awareness is the first step toward change. When you become conscious of these hidden biases, you can begin to challenge them, to expose your subconscious to counterexamples, to practice thinking differently. It's slow work, the work of rewiring, but it's possible, and it's worth it. Because the more aligned your subconscious and conscious values become, the more integrity you feel, the more whole. And that integrity, that wholeness, is one of the deepest forms of peace. You're not at war with yourself. You're all moving in the same direction, toward the same light. Your subconscious mind operates much faster than your conscious mind, which is why you sometimes just know something before you can articulate why. In studies, people have been shown to react to stimuli, a threatening image, a sudden sound, before they're consciously aware they've seen or heard it. Their subconscious has already processed the information and initiated a response, and only afterward does the conscious mind catch up. This is incredibly useful in moments of danger, but it also means that much of your life unfolds beneath your awareness. Decisions you think you're making consciously have often already been influenced by subconscious factors: your mood, your past experiences, subtle environmental cues. This doesn't mean you're not in control. It just means that control is more collaborative than you might have thought. You and your subconscious are partners, always in conversation, always influencing each other. And the more you learn to listen to your subconscious, the better you can navigate that partnership. The subconscious thrives in stillness. This is why meditation, prayer, and quiet reflection have been central to spiritual practices across cultures for millennia. When you quiet the chatter of your conscious mind, you create space for your subconscious to speak. Insights rise to the surface. Emotions you've been suppressing finally have room to be felt. The constant noise of modern life, the notifications, the screens, the endless input, keeps your conscious mind perpetually engaged, leaving little room for the deeper work of integration and reflection. But when you give yourself permission to be still, even for a few minutes, you're giving your subconscious permission to be heard. And often it has something important to say. A solution to a problem, a feeling that needs attention. A quiet reassurance that you're okay, that you've always been okay, even when it didn't feel that way. Stillness isn't emptiness, it's fullness. It's the richness of your own inner world waiting patiently for you to stop long enough to notice. Your subconscious responds powerfully to ritual. A ritual is simply a repeated action imbued with meaning, and your subconscious loves meaning. When you light a candle before meditating, your subconscious learns. This is when we become still. When you journal before bed, your subconscious learns. This is when we release the day. Rituals create predictability, and predictability creates safety. And when your subconscious feels safe, it relaxes, opens, becomes more receptive to change and healing. This is why bedtime routines are so effective for sleep. It's not just that brushing your teeth and dimming the lights are physically relaxing. It's that your subconscious recognizes the pattern and begins to prepare for rest. You're essentially giving it a signal. It's time now. And over time, that signal becomes more and more powerful, until the ritual itself is enough to shift your entire state. So if you don't already have rituals, consider creating some. Small, simple actions repeated with intention. Your subconscious will thank you. The subconscious is where your sense of identity lies. When you say, I am, you're accessing a deeply subconscious belief about who you are. These beliefs are formed early, shaped by how you were treated, what you were told, what you concluded from your experiences, and they're remarkably persistent. If you believe deep down that you're unworthy, that belief will influence your choices, your relationships, your willingness to take risks. If you believe you're resilient, you'll approach challenges differently. The tricky part is that these beliefs often operate below conscious awareness, so you might not even realize they're there. But you can feel their effects. And you can, gently, begin to question them. To ask, is this true? Is this still true? Was it ever true, or was it just something I learned to believe? And with that questioning, with new experiences that offer new evidence, your subconscious begins to shift. Your sense of who you are begins to expand. And slowly, gradually, you become someone you didn't know you could be. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed it. Because you made space for something new to take root. The subconscious has no concept of linear time in the way your conscious mind does. Past, present, and future blur together in the deeper waters of your mind, which is why a traumatic memory can feel present and visceral even though the event happened years ago. Your subconscious doesn't understand that it's over. It experiences the memory as a current threat, which is why your body reacts, your heart races, your breath quickens, even though you're objectively safe. But this timelessness has a flip side. It means healing isn't bound by chronology. A shift in understanding today can ripple backward, reframing old experiences, releasing old pain. You don't have to revisit every wound in sequence. Sometimes one key insight, one moment of release is enough to change everything. Your subconscious is always working toward integration, toward making you whole. And it operates in its own time, its own way. You don't have to understand it, you just have to trust it. Your subconscious is the source of your automatic thoughts, those running narratives that fill your mind throughout the day. I'm not good enough. Everyone else judging me. I'll never figure this out. These thoughts feel true because they arise so quickly, so automatically, but they're not facts, they're patterns. Your subconscious is replaying old scripts, old conclusions without questioning whether they still apply. Cognitive behavioral therapy works in part by teaching you to notice these automatic thoughts and challenge them. To ask, is there evidence for this? Is there another way to interpret this situation? And over time, with practice, you begin to install new scripts, new patterns. Your subconscious learns that not every negative thought is accurate, that there are other ways to see yourself and the world. And slowly, the automatic thoughts change. They become gentler, more balanced, more compassionate. Not because you've forced them, but because you've trained your subconscious to think differently. And that training happens one thought at a time, one small challenge at a time, until the new way becomes automatic too. The subconscious is deeply connected to your autonomic nervous system, the system that controls all the functions you don't consciously think about, like heart rate, digestion, and breathing. When your subconscious perceives danger, it activates your fight or flight response. When it perceives safety, it activates your rest and digest response. This is why stress affects your body so profoundly, not because stress itself is physically harmful, but because your subconscious interprets it as danger and keeps your body in a state of high alert. Chronic stress means chronic activation of your sympathetic nervous system, which over time wears you down. But the opposite is also true. When you signal to your subconscious that you're safe, through slow breathing, through gentle movement, through moments of stillness like this one, your parasympathetic system takes over. Your heart rate slows, your muscles relax, your body begins to heal. You have more control over your internal state than you realize. And it starts with convincing your subconscious that, right now, in this moment, you're okay. The phenomenon of déjà vu, that eerie sense that you've experienced something before, might be a glitch in how your subconscious processes memory. Some neuroscientists believe it happens when your brain accidentally sends a current experience directly to long-term memory, instead of processing it as new, creating the sensation that it's already familiar. Others think it's your subconscious recognizing a pattern similar to something you've experienced before, even if you can't consciously recall it. Either way, it's a reminder that your perception of reality is mediated by your subconscious, which is always interpreting, always making sense of the world in ways you're not fully aware of. Your experience of reality isn't objective. It's filtered through layers of memory, emotion, and pattern recognition. And that's okay. It's not a flaw. It's just how the mind works. You're not seeing the world as it is. You're seeing the world as you are. And there's something humbling and freeing about that. You can let go of the idea that you need to perceive everything perfectly. You just need to perceive enough. And your subconscious is doing that for you every single moment. Your subconscious can be a source of self-sabotage when it's trying to protect you from something it perceives as dangerous, even if that danger is something you consciously want. Maybe you want to be in a relationship, but your subconscious associates intimacy with hurt, so it quietly ensures you stay distant. Maybe you want to succeed, but your subconscious equates success with unwanted attention or responsibility, so it undermines your efforts. This isn't cruelty, it's protection gone awry. Your subconscious is like a well-meaning but misinformed guard, keeping you from something it thinks will harm you. The work is to reassure it, to update the old programming, to show it that you're capable of handling more than it thinks. And this happens through small acts of courage, small exposures to the thing you fear, small evidence that you can survive, even thrive in new territory. Your subconscious will adjust. It just needs time and patience and proof. And you can give it that. You're stronger than the old fears believe. The subconscious is where your attachments and aversions live. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes from clinging to what we want and pushing away what we don't, and both of these impulses are largely subconscious. You might not consciously realize you're attached to a certain outcome, but your subconscious is, and it suffers when that outcome doesn't materialize. You might not consciously realize you're avoiding something, but your subconscious is, and it's shaping your choices to keep you away from it. The path toward less suffering, then, involves becoming aware of these hidden attachments and aversions, and gently loosening their grip, not through force but through understanding. Through seeing them clearly, holding them with compassion, and slowly, gently, releasing them. This is the work of a lifetime, and it's okay if it's slow. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be willing to look, to notice, to soften. And in those moments of willingness, your subconscious begins to let go, bit by bit, of the things that have been weighing you down. Your subconscious is incredibly responsive to gratitude. When you practice gratitude regularly, you're essentially training your subconscious to scan for what's good, what's working, what's worth appreciating. And over time, your baseline mood shifts. You become someone who notices beauty more often, who feels fortunate more easily. This isn't toxic positivity. It's not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about balance. About giving your subconscious permission to rest in the good when the good is present instead of always scanning for threats. Gratitude rewires your brain. It strengthens neural pathways associated with joy and contentment and weakens pathways associated with anxiety and dissatisfaction. And the practice doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be as simple as this: lying here, noticing the comfort of your bed, the quiet of the night, the fact that you're breathing, that you made it through another day. That's enough. Your subconscious hears it, and it adjusts ever so slightly toward light. The subconscious mind is where empathy lies. When you see someone in pain, your subconscious automatically activates similar neural patterns in your own brain, allowing you to feel to some degree what they're feeling. This is called mirroring, and it's part of what makes humans so deeply social. You're wired for connection, for understanding, for resonating with others. But this also means you absorb the emotions of the people around you, sometimes without realizing it. If you've ever walked into a room and immediately sensed tension, or felt drained after spending time with someone who's anxious, that's your subconscious picking up on emotional cues and mirroring them. This is why boundaries matter. Not because other people's emotions are bad, but because your subconscious can become overwhelmed when it's constantly absorbing input from the outside. You have to protect your inner space to give your subconscious time to reset, to remember what your emotions are versus what you've taken on from others. And rest is part of that. Rest is recalibration. Rest is returning to yourself. The subconscious can be a source of profound wisdom. In many spiritual traditions, the deeper mind is seen as a connection to something larger, whether that's called intuition, the soul, the divine, or simply the collective unconscious. When you quiet your conscious mind and listen to what rises from within, you often find clarity that logic alone couldn't provide. This isn't mysticism, it's accessing the vast processing power of your subconscious, which has been synthesizing your life experience all along. It knows things you don't consciously know. It sees patterns you haven't consciously noticed. And when you create space for it to speak, through meditation, through dreams, through moments of stillness, it offers guidance. Not in loud, dramatic ways, but in quiet whispers, in feelings, in sudden knowing. And the more you trust it, the more clearly it speaks. You don't have to figure everything out with your conscious mind. Sometimes, the answer is already inside you, waiting patiently for you to stop searching and simply listen. Your subconscious holds your relationship blueprints, the templates for how you expect relationships to work. If your early relationships were safe and loving, your subconscious learned that people are trustworthy, that closeness is good, that you're worthy of care. If your early relationships were chaotic or conditional, your subconscious learned something different. That love has to be earned, that people leave, that vulnerability is dangerous. And these blueprints are so deep, you often don't realize they're there until you find yourself repeating the same patterns over and over in different relationships. But here's the hopeful part: blueprints can be revised. Every safe relationship, Every moment of trustworthy connection is evidence that challenges the old template. And slowly, your subconscious begins to update its expectations. You begin to believe in the deepest part of yourself that maybe, just maybe, you are worthy of the love you've been seeking. And that belief changes everything. Not overnight, but gradually, steadily, like dawn breaking after a long night. The subconscious is where your fears live, but also where your courage lives. Fear isn't the opposite of courage, it's the precondition. You can't be brave without first feeling afraid. And when you act in spite of fear, your subconscious takes note. It learns that fear isn't always accurate, that you can survive the thing you were dreading. And the next time you face something similar, the fear is a little quieter, a little less convincing. This is how you grow, not by eliminating fear, but by changing your relationship to it. By letting it be present without letting it decide. Your subconscious is always learning. Every time you choose courage, you're teaching it something new. You're showing it that you're capable of more than it thought. And over time, those lessons accumulate. You become someone who still feels fear but who moves forward anyway. And that's not fearlessness. That's something better. That's strength. Your subconscious holds your grief, all the losses you've experienced, some of which you may not have fully processed. Grief doesn't follow a timeline. It doesn't resolve neatly. It lives in the deeper waters, surfacing when it needs to, sometimes years after the loss itself. And that's okay. Your subconscious is holding it for you, releasing it in doses you can handle when you're ready. You don't have to force the process. You don't have to get over it. Grief is evidence of love, and love doesn't expire. But what does happen over time is that the grief softens. The sharp edges wear smooth, and what remains is a kind of tender ache, a reminder of what mattered, what still matters. Your subconscious is wise enough to know that you don't need to forget in order to heal. You just need to carry the loss differently, and it will help you do that. It's already helping even now, even as you rest. Trust it. Let it do its work. You're drifting now, aren't you? That's perfect. You don't need to hold on. You don't need to stay awake to hear the end. In fact, there is no end, just a soft, endless unfolding into rest. Your subconscious is absorbing everything it needs, filing it away in the deep places where transformation happens slowly, quietly, without fanfare. Take another slow breath if you remember to, and then forget about breathing. Let your body do what it knows how to do. Let the night hold you. Let the stillness wrap around you like a blanket. There's nothing to solve, nothing to understand. You can just be here, half dreaming, half listening, wholly at peace. Everything is exactly as it should be. And you, dear listener, are exactly enough, exactly as you are. Let that be the last thought before sleep finds you. The subconscious never forgets a kindness, even when your conscious mind does. That stranger who smiled at you on a hard day, that teacher who believed in you, that friend who called at exactly the right moment. These moments leave traces in your subconscious, shaping your sense that the world can be good, that people can be kind, that hope is reasonable. And the reverse is also true. Cruelty leaves marks. But here rests what matters. Your subconscious gives more weight to what's repeated. One act of kindness in a sea of indifference might fade, but consistent kindness toward yourself from others becomes the foundation of your inner world. This is why small, repeated acts of care matter so much. They're not just gestures. They're instructions to your subconscious. They're evidence that you're worth caring for, that the world is safer than your fears suggest. And over time, that evidence builds until it becomes something unshakable, a quiet, bone-deep knowing that you're okay, that you've always been okay, that you always will be. Your subconscious is constantly monitoring your energy levels, trying to balance expenditure and recovery. This is why, no matter how much you enjoy something, you still need rest afterward. Your subconscious is insisting on recovery, on a return to baseline, because it knows that sustainable living requires cycles, effort and rest, activity and stillness, engagement and withdrawal. Modern life often demands constant output, constant availability, constant productivity, and your subconscious suffers under that demand. It manifests as burnout, as illness, as a deep, aching exhaustion that sleep alone doesn't fix. Because it's not just your body that's tired, it's your subconscious, overwhelmed by the relentless pace, begging for a different rhythm. And when you honor that rhythm, when you build rest into your life not as an afterthought but as a necessity, your subconscious begins to trust that it's safe to fully engage because recovery is guaranteed. You're giving it permission to work hard because rest is coming. And that permission changes everything. The subconscious is incredibly literal, which is why metaphors and imagery are so powerful. When you imagine yourself as a tree with deep roots, your subconscious doesn't distinguish between metaphor and reality. It experiences the rootedness, the stability, the sense of being anchored. When you imagine yourself surrounded by light, your subconscious feels protected, held, safe. This is why guided imagery is used in therapy, in pain management, in stress reduction. It's not just imagination. It's communication with the deeper part of yourself, the part that responds to images and feelings more than logic. So if you're lying here and your mind is still restless, try offering it an image. Maybe you're floating on calm water held by something vast and gentle. Maybe you're in a quiet forest, surrounded by ancient trees. Maybe you're simply wrapped in softness, in warmth, in a cocoon of safety. And let your subconscious respond. Let it translate the image into sensation, into peace, into the deep, slow pull of sleep. Your subconscious has a negativity bias, a tendency to focus more on threats than on safety, on what could go wrong rather than what's going well. This isn't pessimism, it's evolution. Your ancestors who were hyper-aware of danger were the ones who survived long enough to pass on their genes. So you've inherited a subconscious that's always scanning for problems, always preparing for the worst. And in modern life, where actual physical danger is rare, this tendency can manifest as chronic anxiety, as catastrophizing, as an inability to relax even when everything is objectively fine. But understanding this tendency is the first step toward working with it. You can gently train your subconscious to notice safety as much as danger, to give weight to what's working as much as what's not. It takes practice. It takes conscious effort to redirect your attention again and again until the new pattern becomes automatic. But it's possible. Your subconscious is adaptable. It can learn a new way. And you're already teaching it right here, right now, by choosing rest, by choosing to let go. The subconscious is where your sense of enough lives, enough time, enough money, enough love, enough safety. For some people, the threshold for enough is low. They feel satisfied easily, grateful for what they have. For others, the threshold is impossibly high, And no matter what they achieve, it never feels like enough. This isn't about reality. It's about your subconscious beliefs, beliefs formed long ago, beliefs that may no longer serve you. If you grew up in scarcity, your subconscious might believe that there's never enough. And so you hoard, you overwork, you live in constant fear of loss. If you grew up being told you had to earn love, your subconscious might believe that you're never enough as you are, and so you strive endlessly, hoping to finally feel worthy. But you can change the threshold. You can teach your subconscious that enough already exists, that you have enough, that you are enough. It's not about lowering your ambition. It's about releasing the anxiety, the desperation, the belief that your worth is contingent. You're already whole. You've always been enough. And your subconscious is starting to believe it. The subconscious can process paradox in ways the conscious mind struggles with. You can be both scared and brave, both grieving and grateful, both tired and hopeful. Your conscious mind wants consistency, wants things to make sense, but your subconscious understands that humans are vast, that you contain multitudes, that contradictions are part of what makes you whole. And there's something deeply freeing about this. You don't have to resolve every tension, don't have to pick one side of yourself and deny the other. You can hold it all. You can be complicated. You can be a work in progress. You can be doing your best and still making mistakes. You can be healing and still hurting. Your subconscious is big enough to hold all of it. And when you stop trying to be simple, stop trying to fit into a single, coherent narrative, you give yourself permission to be fully, messily, beautifully human. And that permission is its own kind of peace. The subconscious is always trying to make meaning. When something happens, your subconscious immediately starts constructing a narrative to explain it. This is useful. It helps you learn, helps you predict, helps you feel like the world makes sense. But it also means you sometimes create stories that aren't accurate. You might interpret someone's silence as rejection when they're just distracted. You might interpret a setback as evidence that you're a failure when it's just a setback. Your subconscious is so committed to making meaning that it will fill in gaps with assumptions, with old patterns, with whatever makes the story cohere. And those stories feel true because they're coming from such a deep place. But they're not always true. They're just your subconscious doing its best with incomplete information. So when you catch yourself in a painful story, about yourself, about someone else, about life, it's worth asking, is this the only story? Could there be another interpretation? Your subconscious will resist at first because it's already committed to the narrative. But gently, persistently, you can introduce doubt. You can show it that other stories are possible. And slowly, the grip of the old story loosens. Your subconscious has a remarkable capacity for healing, both psychological and physical. Studies have shown that people who practice self-compassion recover from illness faster, that people who visualize their immune systems fighting disease show actual improvements in immune function. This isn't magic, it's the mind-body connection in action. When your subconscious feels safe, supported, cared for, it directs resources toward healing and growth rather than defense. But when your subconscious feels under threat, it prioritizes survival over repair. So the way you speak to yourself matters. The beliefs you hold about your body, about your capacity to heal matter. Not because positive thinking cures everything, but because it creates conditions where healing is more possible. And right now, as you rest, your subconscious is directing energy toward repair, muscles relaxing, tissues regenerating, memories consolidating. You don't have to do anything. Your body and mind are already working together, already tending to what needs tending. And the best thing you can do is simply let them, trust them, rest. The subconscious is where your sense of belonging lives. Humans are social animals. You need to feel part of something larger than yourself. When you do, your subconscious relaxes. When you don't, it registers a kind of existential threat, a loneliness that's not just emotional but physiological. Chronic loneliness affects your health in measurable ways. It raises inflammation, weakens your immune system, shortens your lifespan. Your subconscious interprets isolation as danger, and it responds accordingly. But belonging doesn't have to mean having a large social circle. It can be as simple as feeling connected to your community, to nature, to a cause, to something that reminds you you're part of a web of life that extends far beyond your individual existence. And sometimes, belonging means belonging to yourself, accepting all the parts of who you are, not exiling any of them, creating an inner home where all of you is welcome. And that, too, is something your subconscious registers. That, too, is a form of safety, a form of peace. Your subconscious responds to your breath. This is one of the most direct ways you can communicate with it, because breath is one of the few autonomic functions you can also control consciously. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you're sending a signal to your subconscious: we're safe. There's no emergency, and your subconscious listens. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system, slowing your heart rate, relaxing your muscles, shifting your entire physiology toward calm. This is why every meditation practice, every relaxation technique starts with the breath. It's the bridge between the conscious and subconscious, between what you can control and what controls you. And the beauty is you don't have to breathe perfectly. You don't have to count or follow a specific pattern. You just have to slow down, just a little. Just enough that your subconscious notices, and it will take care of the rest. It's already starting to, even now as you let your breath deepen, soften, release. The subconscious can be a source of resistance when you're trying to change. This is because it equates the familiar with safety, and change, by definition, is unfamiliar. So even when you consciously want something different, a healthier lifestyle, a new career, a better relationship, your subconscious might resist, might pull you back toward what you've always known. And this isn't sabotage, it's protection. It's your deeper mind saying, are you sure? The old way kept us alive. This new way is unknown. And the only way through that resistance is to go slowly, to prove to your subconscious that the new way is safe. To take small steps, to celebrate small wins, to build evidence that change doesn't have to mean danger. And over time, the resistance softens. Your subconscious begins to trust the new path. And what once felt impossible starts to feel inevitable. Not because you forced it, but because you brought your subconscious along, step by gentle step, until you both arrived somewhere new. The subconscious is the keeper of hope. Even in your darkest moments, when your conscious mind is convinced that nothing will ever get better, your subconscious holds a small, stubborn ember of possibility. This is why people survive unimaginable hardship, not because they're consciously optimistic, but because something deeper refuses to give up. Your subconscious is wired for survival, yes, but also for resilience, for the belief that the future might be different than the past. And that belief, that tiny, persistent spark is enough. It keeps you breathing, it keeps you trying, it keeps you here. And sometimes all you need is to make it through one more night, one more hour, one more breath. Because on the other side of that breath, the world might shift, the light might change, something you couldn't see before might suddenly become visible, and your subconscious knows this. It's been through darkness before. It knows that dawn always comes eventually, and it's willing to wait. Your subconscious is influenced by the stories you consume, books, movies, conversations, the narratives you surround yourself with. If you immerse yourself in stories of despair and cruelty, your subconscious begins to believe the world is a dark place. If you immerse yourself in stories of kindness, resilience, and beauty, your subconscious begins to believe the world holds those things too. This isn't about avoiding difficult truths. It's about balance. About making sure your subconscious has access to the full spectrum of human experience, not just the tragic or the cynical. Because the stories you tell yourself, the stories you absorb, become the lens through which you interpret everything. And if that lens is perpetually dark, life feels darker. But if you can balance the shadows with light, if you can remind your subconscious that beauty exists alongside suffering, hope alongside despair, your experience of being alive becomes richer, more textured, more bearable. And you get to choose, at least in part, what you feed your subconscious. You get to curate the stories, and that's a quiet, powerful form of agency. The subconscious holds your capacity for wonder, that childlike ability to be amazed by the world. As you grow older, as life becomes routine, it's easy to lose that sense of wonder, but it's not gone, it's just buried. Your subconscious still responds to beauty, to mystery, to moments that take your breath away. A sunset, a piece of music, a stranger's unexpected kindness. These moments bypass your conscious filters and speak directly to the deeper part of you, the part that remembers what it felt like to see the world as magical. And the more you notice these moments, the more you give your subconscious permission to feel them, the more they multiply. Wonder isn't something you have to manufacture. It's something you have to allow. And it's always there, waiting quietly in the background of your everyday life, ready to surface the moment you stop moving fast enough to miss it. Right now, there's wonder in the fact that you exist, that you're here breathing, thinking, feeling. That's not ordinary, that's astonishing, and your subconscious knows it. The subconscious can carry shame, that heavy, wordless feeling that something is fundamentally wrong with you. Shame is different from guilt. Guilt says, I did something bad. Shame says, I am bad. And shame lives deep, beneath conscious thought, shaping how you see yourself and what you believe you deserve. But here's what's important to understand. Shame is learned. It was taught to you, often very early, by people who were themselves carrying shame they didn't know how to release. And what's learned can be unlearned. Your subconscious can be taught a different story, that you are not your mistakes, that you are worthy of love not because of what you do but because you exist. This teaching happens slowly, through self-compassion, through safe relationships, through moments where you're seen and accepted exactly as you are. And every time you choose to be kind to yourself, every time you refuse to let shame dictate your worth, you're sending a message to your subconscious. You're saying, you don't have to carry this anymore. And slowly, gently, it begins to believe you. Your subconscious is deeply attuned to beauty. Whether it's art, music, nature, or human connection, Beauty has a way of reaching past your defenses and touching something essential. Scientists have found that experiencing beauty activates areas of the brain associated with reward, pleasure, and meaning. It's as if your subconscious recognizes beauty as important, as something worth paying attention to. And in a world that often feels harsh or overwhelming, beauty is a kind of anchor. It reminds you that life isn't just struggle, it's also texture, color, resonance. It's also moments that make you pause and think, yes, this is why it's worth being alive. And you don't have to seek out grand, dramatic beauty. Sometimes it's in the quiet things, the way light falls through a window, the sound of rain, the warmth of your blankets. Your subconscious notices these things, even when your conscious mind is too busy, and they matter. They accumulate, building a reservoir of goodness that you can draw from when times are hard. The subconscious is where forgiveness begins, not the performative, surface-level "I forgive you," but the deep, bone-level release of resentment. When you've been hurt, your subconscious holds the memory, holds the anger, holds the sense of injustice. And it's right to hold it. What happened was real and it mattered. But over time, carrying that weight becomes exhausting. Forgiveness isn't about saying the hurt was okay. It's about deciding you don't want to carry it anymore. It's about releasing the grip, not for the other person's sake, but for your own. And that release happens in the subconscious, often before you're consciously ready. One day you realize the anger has softened. The story has lost its charge. You can think about the person or the event without the same visceral reaction. That's your subconscious letting go, making space for something else, and you don't have to force it. It happens when it's ready, when you're ready. And until then, it's okay to still be angry. It's okay to still be hurt. Healing doesn't follow a schedule. Your subconscious knows when you're lying to yourself. You can tell yourself you're fine when you're not, that you don't care when you do, that you're over it when you're still carrying it. And consciously, you might even believe the lie. But your subconscious knows the truth. And it will keep signaling through anxiety, through insomnia, through physical symptoms, through dreams, that something isn't aligned. This is why suppression doesn't work. You can push feelings down, but they don't disappear. They just go underground into the subconscious, where they continue to operate, often more powerfully because they're hidden. The only way through is honesty. You have to be willing to admit, at least to yourself, what you're really feeling. And that takes courage. Because sometimes what you're feeling is inconvenient or messy or at odds with who you think you should be. But your subconscious doesn't care about shoulds. It only cares about truth. And when you finally let yourself feel what you feel, when you stop pretending, something shifts. The pressure releases, and you can begin, finally, to heal. If you're still awake, that's okay. If you've drifted off, that's even better. There's no right way to do this. No goal to reach. You're exactly where you need to be, in this soft, liminal space between waking and dreaming, where the boundaries blur and everything becomes a little gentler, a little less defined. Let your thoughts become like clouds, drifting across the sky of your mind without needing to hold any particular shape. Let your body become heavy, sinking deeper into the surface beneath you. Your subconscious is still listening, still learning, still doing the quiet work of integration. And you don't have to help. You don't have to try. You just have to let go. Just a little more. Just enough to finally, fully, completely rest. Everything else can wait until morning. The subconscious is where your relationship with time lies. For some people, time feels abundant. There's always enough. There's no rush. For others, time feels scarce. There's never enough, everything is urgent. This isn't about how many hours you have in a day. It's about your subconscious beliefs formed from early experiences, cultural messages, the pace at which you've been taught to live. And the way you experience time shapes everything. How stressed you feel, how present you can be, how much you enjoy your life. But here's the hopeful part. Your relationship with time can change. You can teach your subconscious that urgency isn't always necessary, that rest isn't laziness, that you can move through life at a pace that feels sustainable. And it starts with moments like this, moments where you choose to stop, to linger, to let time stretch out instead of rushing toward the next thing. Your subconscious is learning right now that it's safe to slow down. And that lesson will stay with you. Your subconscious holds your legacy, the patterns you'll pass on, consciously or not, to the people who come after you. If you've spent your life carrying anxiety, that anxiety will shape how you interact with others, especially children, who will absorb it into their own subconscious. But the reverse is also true. If you do the work of healing, of becoming more whole, that healing ripples outward. You become a model of something different. You break the chain. And the people around you, your children, your students, your friends, get to inherit a different pattern. Not perfection, but growth. Not fearlessness, but courage. Not the absence of pain, but the willingness to face it. This is one of the most profound reasons to do the inner work, not just for yourself, but for everyone whose life you touch. Because your subconscious isn't just shaping you. It's shaping the world around you, one small interaction at a time. And that's a responsibility, yes, but also a gift. You get to leave something behind. You get to plant seeds you'll never see bloom. The subconscious is the realm of archetypes, universal patterns of human experience that appear across cultures and time periods. The hero, the mother, the trickster, the wise elder. These aren't just characters in stories. They're templates your subconscious recognizes, draws on, identifies with. And at different points in your life, you might embody different archetypes. Sometimes you're the hero, facing challenges with courage. Sometimes you're the wanderer, searching for meaning. Sometimes you're the sage, offering what you've learned. These archetypes aren't limits, they're possibilities. They're ways of understanding yourself, of navigating the complexities of being human. And your subconscious loves them because they provide structure, narrative, meaning. So when you're struggling to make sense of your life, it can help to ask, what role am I playing right now? What archetype am I embodying? And is that the one I want to be living? Because you can always choose a different story. You can always step into a different role. Your subconscious is the seat of resilience. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through experience, through surviving hardship and realizing you can. Every time you face something difficult and made it through, your subconscious has taken note. It's filed that experience away as evidence. We can handle hard things. And that evidence accumulates, creating a kind of inner confidence that's not about arrogance or bravado, but about quiet, tested strength. You've been through storms before. You've been lost before. You've been heartbroken, exhausted, terrified before. And you're still here. Your subconscious knows this. And it draws on that knowledge when the next hard thing arrives. It reminds you, in ways you might not even be conscious of, that you've survived before, that you can survive again. That resilience isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up again and again, because something deeper than fear keeps insisting that life is worth living. The subconscious holds your hunger for meaning, that deep human need to feel that your life matters, that what you do has purpose. This hunger can drive you toward great things, toward contribution, toward connection, toward work that feels significant. But it can also lead to exhaustion if you're constantly striving to prove your worth, to justify your existence. Because the truth is, you don't have to earn meaning. You don't have to accomplish something extraordinary to matter. Your life already means something, simply because you're living it. The people you've touched, the kindness you've offered, the beauty you've noticed, those things have value, even if they're never recognized or celebrated. Your subconscious knows this, but it can be drowned out by the world's messages about success and achievement. So sometimes you have to remind it. You have to tell your subconscious gently and repeatedly that you're enough, that your existence just as it is enough. And over time that reminder takes root, and the desperate striving softens into something calmer, something more sustainable, into peace. Your subconscious is always listening to your self-talk, that constant internal monologue that narrates your life. And the tone of that voice, whether it's kind or critical, encouraging or harsh, shapes your subconscious beliefs about who you are. If your self-talk is relentlessly critical, your subconscious learns that you're not good enough, that you're always falling short. If your self-talk is compassionate, your subconscious learns that you're worthy of kindness, even when you make mistakes. And here's the thing, you get to choose that voice. It might feel automatic, like it's just how you think, but it's a habit, and habits can be changed. You can start noticing when the critical voice arises and gently correcting it, not with toxic positivity, not with false affirmations, but with honesty and kindness. Yes, I messed up, and that's okay, I'm learning. Over time, your subconscious begins to internalize this new voice, and the way you experience yourself, the way you move through the world begins to shift. Slowly, gently, but profoundly. The subconscious is where your longing lives, for connection, for home, for something you can't quite name. This longing is part of being human. It's the sense that there's something more, something just beyond reach, something you've lost or never had. Poets and mystics have written about it for centuries, this ache, this yearning, and your subconscious feels it deeply. It drives you to seek, to wander, to keep searching even when you're not sure what you're searching for. And maybe that's okay. Maybe the longing itself is valuable because it keeps you open, keeps you moving, keeps you reaching toward growth and connection and beauty. Maybe you're not supposed to ever fully arrive. Maybe the journey, the seeking, the longing itself is part of what makes life rich. And your subconscious understands this, even when your conscious mind is frustrated by the lack of resolution. It's patient. It can hold the longing without needing to resolve it. And so can you. Your subconscious processes pain differently than your conscious mind. Consciously, you might want the pain to go away immediately, to be fixed or forgotten. But your subconscious knows that pain has something to teach, something to reveal. It holds the pain gently, letting you feel it in doses, protecting you from being overwhelmed. And over time, through dreams, through sudden insights, through the slow work of integration, the pain transforms. It doesn't disappear. It becomes part of your story, part of your depth, part of what makes you who you are. And there's a strange kind of beauty in that. In the way suffering can deepen you, can open you to empathy, can teach you what matters. You wouldn't choose it, but your subconscious helps you survive it and eventually to grow from it. And that's a kind of grace. a kind of resilience that only comes from having been broken and slowly, painstakingly put back together. Not the same as before, but maybe in some ways stronger. The subconscious is the keeper of your joy, all the moments of lightness and laughter that you've experienced throughout your life. Even in the darkest times, your subconscious holds those memories, ready to remind you that joy is possible, that it exists, that you've felt it before and will feel it again. This is why gratitude practices work. They're not about pretending everything is fine, but about reminding your subconscious that good things exist alongside the hard things, that life is both. And when you actively recall moments of joy, when you let yourself remember what it felt like to laugh until your stomach hurt, to feel sunlight on your skin, to be held by someone who loves you, you're training your subconscious to seek those moments again, to notice them when they arrive, to let them in. Because joy doesn't have to be earned. It doesn't have to be constant. But it is always available in small ways if you're willing to notice. And your subconscious is very good at noticing once you teach it what to look for. Your subconscious is the bridge between your body and your mind, the place where psychosomatic experiences live. When you say, "My heart is broken" after a loss, your body can actually feel it. Your chest tightens, your heart aches. When you say, "I can't stomach this," in response to something upsetting, your digestive system might react. This isn't metaphor, it's your subconscious translating emotional experience into physical sensation. And the reverse is true too. Physical sensations influence your emotions. When you're hunched over, your subconscious registers defeat. When you stand tall, it registers confidence. Your body and mind are in constant conversation, mediated by your subconscious, and you can use this to your advantage. When you're anxious, softening your body, relaxing your jaw, dropping your shoulders, slowing your breath, sends a signal to your subconscious that you're safe. And your subconscious, in turn, begins to calm your mind. It's a loop, and you can enter it at any point. Right now, let your body soften just a little more, and feel how your mind follows. The subconscious holds your capacity for transformation. You are not the same person you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even last year. You've changed in ways you can't fully articulate because much of that change has happened in the deeper waters, beneath conscious awareness. Your subconscious has been integrating experiences, updating beliefs, rewiring patterns, all while you went about your life. And this process never stops. You are always becoming, always evolving. And that's both humbling and hopeful. It means you're not stuck. It means the version of yourself you are today isn't the final version. It means that the parts of yourself you don't like, the patterns you wish you could break, are not permanent. Your subconscious is capable of profound change, given time, given patience, given the right conditions. And you can trust that process. You don't have to force it. You just have to keep showing up, keep being willing to look honestly at yourself, keep planting seeds of the person you want to become. And your subconscious will do the rest. Your subconscious is always, always working in your favor, even when it doesn't feel that way. Every fear, every hesitation, every resistance, it's all your subconscious trying to protect you, trying to keep you safe. It's not your enemy. It's not sabotaging you out of spite. It's doing the best it can with the information it has, information that was often encoded long ago, in a context very different from your life today. And when you understand that, when you can see your subconscious as an ally that's sometimes misinformed rather than an adversary, everything shifts. You can work with it instead of against it. You can speak to it with compassion. You can update its programming with kindness and patience. You can say, "Thank you for trying to keep me safe. I see you, I hear you, and I want to show you that we're okay now, that we can try something new." And your subconscious will listen. It might not trust you immediately, but it will listen. And slowly over time it will learn to trust. And when that happens, when all of you is finally aligned, moving together toward the same horizon, you'll feel a kind of peace you didn't know was possible. A sense of coming home to yourself. This is the last stretch now if you're even still here. And if you are, that's okay. If you're not, that's perfect too. There's no wrong way to experience this. No prize for making it to the end. Just an invitation to let go, to stop holding on, to let sleep take you wherever you are in the journey. Your subconscious has been absorbing, integrating, learning. And it will continue that work long after these words fade into silence, long after you've drifted into dreams. So release any sense of needing to stay alert. Release any sense of effort. Just breathe. Just be. Just let this moment and the next carry you gently into the soft, forgiving. The subconscious is the place where faith lives, not necessarily religious faith, but the basic necessary belief that things will somehow be okay, that the future holds possibility, that life is worth continuing. This faith isn't rational. You can't prove that things will work out. But your subconscious holds it anyway, a quiet, persistent knowing that keeps you moving forward even when your conscious mind is full of doubt. And when that faith is shaken, by trauma, by loss, by too many disappointments, it's like losing your footing. The world becomes frightening in a way it wasn't before. But here's the beautiful thing. Faith can be rebuilt. Slowly, through small experiences of safety, through moments of unexpected grace, through people who show up for you, your subconscious begins to trust again. Begins to believe again that maybe, just maybe, things can still turn out okay. And that belief, even when it's fragile, is enough to keep you going. Enough to get you through one more day. And then another. And then another. Until one day you realize you're no longer just surviving. You're living again. Your subconscious is where empathy for yourself begins. You might find it easy to be kind to others, to offer them grace and understanding, but when it comes to yourself, the voice in your head is harsh, unforgiving. This is because your subconscious has learned somehow that you don't deserve the same kindness you give to others. Maybe you were taught that self-compassion is selfish, or maybe you internalized the criticism you received as a child. But whatever the reason, it's a pattern that can be changed. You can learn to speak to yourself the way you'd speak to a friend. You can learn to hold your own pain with tenderness. And when you do, your subconscious begins to shift. It begins to believe that maybe you are worthy of care. Maybe you do deserve gentleness. And that shift ripples through everything. How you treat your body, how you respond to mistakes, how you navigate difficulty. You become softer with yourself. And that softness is not weakness. It's strength. It's the courage to be human. The subconscious holds your relationship with death. That awareness always humming in the background that this life is finite. For some people, this awareness is terrifying. For others, it's clarifying. It makes life feel precious, urgent, meaningful. Your subconscious is always negotiating with this reality, trying to balance the need to live fully with the instinct to avoid danger. And the way you hold that balance shapes how you live. If death feels like a constant threat, you might live small, trying to stay safe. If death feels like a distant abstraction, you might live recklessly without regard for consequence. But somewhere in the middle is a kind of wisdom, an acknowledgement that life is temporary, that time is limited, and that this makes every moment valuable. Not in a frantic way, but in a reverent way. Your subconscious knows this. And when you let yourself feel it, really feel the preciousness of being alive, everything shifts. The small annoyances matter less. The beauty matters more. And you become more present, more grateful, more awake. Your subconscious is shaped by ritual and rhythm, by the patterns that mark your days and years. Morning coffee, evening walks, Sunday dinners. These rhythms create a sense of stability, a predictability that your subconscious finds comforting. They're anchors in the chaos, reminders that some things are constant, that you can rely on certain experiences to return. And when those rhythms are disrupted, by travel, by crisis, by change, your subconscious feels unmoored. This is why establishing new routines after a major life change is so important. It's not about rigidity, it's about giving your subconscious something to hold on to, a new pattern to trust. And over time, the new rhythm becomes familiar. The unfamiliar becomes home. And your subconscious settles into the new shape of your life. So if you're in a period of transition, be patient. Give yourself permission to create new rituals, even small ones. They're not just habits, they're ways of telling your subconscious, we're building something here, we're creating a life we can trust. The subconscious holds your relationship with power. How much you believe you have, how comfortable you are wielding it, how you respond when someone else has power over you. For people who grew up feeling powerless, the subconscious might default to passivity, to believing that your voice doesn't matter, that there's no point in trying to change things. For people who grew up with a lot of power, the subconscious might struggle with vulnerability, with admitting need, with asking for help. Neither is wrong. They're just different adaptations to different circumstances. But both can be limiting. And the work is to expand your subconscious understanding of power, to know that you have agency in your own life, that your choices matter, and also that you don't have to have all the answers, that collaboration and interdependence are strengths, not weaknesses. Power isn't about dominance, it's about presence. It's about showing up fully, owning your voice, and also knowing when to listen. And that balance, that nuanced understanding, is something your subconscious can learn, slowly, through practice. Through moments of courage and moments of surrender. Your subconscious never stops listening for safety. It's always scanning, always assessing. Am I safe? Are the people around me safe? Is this environment safe? And when the answer is yes, your subconscious relaxes. Your body relaxes. You can think more clearly, feel more deeply, connect more openly. But when the answer is no, or even maybe, your subconscious goes on alert. And you can feel it. The tension in your shoulders, the quickening of your breath, the narrowing of your focus. This is survival mode. It's exhausting. And unfortunately, many people live in it chronically because the world doesn't always feel safe, because past trauma has taught their subconscious to expect danger, because the nervous system never fully learned to rest. But you can teach it. You can through practices like this one, through therapy, through safe relationships, through small, repeated experiences of peace. Retrain your subconscious to recognize safety. And every time you do, every time you lie down and let yourself rest, every time you take a deep breath and remind yourself you're okay, you're sending a message. You're teaching your subconscious that not everything is a threat, that rest is possible, that you are in this moment safe. And that message matters, it accumulates, it changes you. And here we are, at the end of this gentle journey through the subconscious mind. Or maybe you're not at the end. Maybe you drifted off somewhere in the middle, which is exactly as it should be. Your subconscious doesn't need you to be awake to do its work. In fact, it prefers you this way, soft, open, unguarded. It's been listening all along, absorbing these ideas not as facts to memorize but as seeds to plant, deep in the fertile soil of your inner world. The subconscious is such a quietly extraordinary thing, isn't it? This vast, ancient intelligence that lives beneath your thoughts, working tirelessly to keep you alive, to make sense of the world, to weave your experiences into something coherent. And the beautiful paradox is that the less you try to control it, the better it works. The more you trust it, the more clearly it speaks. The more you rest, the more it can heal and integrate and prepare you for whatever comes next. You don't have to remember everything you heard tonight. In fact, you don't have to remember anything. The important parts, the parts your subconscious needed, have already been absorbed. They're already becoming part of you, shifting something subtle in how you see yourself, how you move through the world. Maybe tomorrow you'll be a little kinder to yourself. Maybe you'll notice a moment of beauty you would have rushed past before. Maybe you'll trust your intuition just a little more. Or maybe nothing will feel different at all, and that's okay too. Change happens in its own time and its own way, deep beneath the surface. What I hope you take from tonight, if you take anything, is this. You are so much more than your waking thoughts. You are depth and mystery and pattern and possibility. You are every experience you've ever had, every kindness you've received, every moment of courage, all held together by this remarkable subconscious mind that never rests, never stops trying to help you become more fully yourself. And you can trust it. You don't have to manage every detail, control every outcome, understand every process. You can let go, you can rest. You can trust that the deeper part of you knows what it's doing, that it's always been guiding you, and it always will. So as you lie here now, in whatever state you're in, drowsy, drifting, maybe already dreaming, just let yourself be held by this truth. You are safe. You are whole. You are enough. Your subconscious has carried you this far through everything you've faced, and it will carry you through whatever comes next. All you have to do is rest. All you have to do is let go. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for trusting this space, this voice, this quiet exploration of the inner world. I hope you sleep deeply, dream softly, and wake feeling just a little more at home in yourself. And if you'd like more journeys like this one, you know where to find us. But for now, there's nothing left to do. No more words to hold on to. Just the gentle pull of sleep, waiting patiently for you to stop resisting and finally, fully, let it take you. Good night. Rest well. And may your subconscious tend to you gently through the hours ahead.